GST seminar. Well, friends, we already had an insight on the constitutional amendments through which this GST is being brought into our country. Of course, everybody knows that GST is going to be a big game changer for all of us, not only as professionals but for the dealers as well. I was just speaking to a person and trying to understand that how many dealers in India would get impacted because of GST. Some few statistics I would like to share with you with what I got to learn from that person. If we see in the state of Maharashtra, if we see the VAT dealers, we have around 8 lakh VAT dealers in the state of Maharashtra. If we see the entire country, VAT dealers in the entire country are around 65 lakh VAT dealers. If we see only service tax assessees, there are around 15 lakh to 16 lakh service tax assessees in India, taken as a whole. And there are other companies who are registered under excise, and there are only 5 lakh dealers under excise in the entire India. So adding them all together, 65 plus 16 is 80, 81 plus 5, 85. Deduplicating, say there is some overlapping, there are works contractors and there are service providers. So as of now, what we understand is that there are around 80 lakh SSEs in India who are subjected to either VAT, service tax or excise, and they will be getting converted into GST. And this is the quantum that we as professionals would be catering to, or are already catering to them. Now, as per the government estimates, it says that there will be a 25% increase in number of SSEs. So the government estimates that by end of the first year, say in 17-18, there will be at least 1 crore SSEs under the GST network. And that is why there is a need to, as PC Joshi sir said, that we need to unlearn what we have learned and learn whatever is going to come under GST. And that is why we have a galaxy of stalwarts from our association who will be leading us on the subject of GST. They have already studied the subject in depth, and they are going to share their views and thoughts on the upcoming GST. For this technical session, we have the topic of levy of tax and concept of supply and consideration. And it will be led by none other than our own past president, CA Deepak Thakkhar. I now request convener, our managing committee member, CA Alok Mehta, to kindly introduce the speaker of this session.
Respected Presidency, Dr. Shashank Dond, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, seniors in profession, good morning to all of you. It is indeed pleasure to introduce Deepak Bhai Roshni for today's second lecture. Deepak Bhai is known to everybody, but briefly, he is a BCom chartered accountant, practicing in 1984, focusing only on indirect taxes. He was the editor of the Sales Tax Review in the year 2004-2005. He was the president of the STP Association of Maharashtra in the year 2002-2003. He is a part-time lecturer at the Chennai College. He toured first in a BCom from NM College in Bombay. He is co-author, is a guide to MPAT audit published by WRC of the ICAI. He is faculty for the Sales Tax Department of Maharashtra, faculty for the Revenue Audit Department of the central government, faculty for the Government Law College, Mumbai, and he has delivered various lectures on the VAT and CST on the various associations like BCA, Chamber, STPM, AIFTP. With this brief introduction, please put your hand together. Your warm welcome and regards to Deepak Thakkhar. Before he proceeds further, I request Shri Pranav Kapadia to please offer the memento on behalf of all of us as a mark of love and affection. Now I request Deepak Bhai to throw a roshni to the review of GST and concept of supply.
President of our association, his able team, colleagues on the dais, seniors in the profession present over here, my other co-speakers, my friends from Mumbai as well as out of Mumbai. This seminar was much awaited, and after hearing learned PC Joshi sir, after the notification was passed and made effective, many messages were coming that now excise cannot be levied, service tax cannot be levied. But it seems that the persons concerned at the central level has not attended to it in a proper manner. Maybe they might have taken a view of some senior counsel or so, but listening from Joshi sir, it seems that something blunder has been done. And I do not know, now days have come, corrigendum we were having in circulars, corrigendum were there in some amending laws, we will have a corrigendum in constitution also. And it is not good on the part of our country, as heard about American law. Constitution amended only 27 times and our constitution 101 times, but yet with some such error as per the school of thought. Well, keeping this, my talk is on the GST. So whatever I have read and the subject allotted to me by the team is the levy of GST and concept of supply. So now let us park all the controversies of excise and service tax aside and try to unlearn something and learn something which is to come effective from, as the government is very much conscious about making it effective from April 17. So let us try to study this. So what I see that what are the indirect tax levies at present. So I see all these levies, the excise, the CVD, the SAD, the additional excise, service tax and surcharge and cess, which will be now in GST levied as CGST, Central GST. Then when I come to the state levies, I see the levy of sales tax, the central sales tax, though levied by the union but retained by the state, so I have kept it in the state revenue column. Then the revenue of purchase tax, like luxury tax, entertainment tax, entry tax or octroi LBT, tax on lotteries, betting, gambling, tax on tobacco and tobacco products, and surcharge and cess is on this. Now this will be levied in GST as SGST, the state GST. And as many states we will have that many state GST laws. I fail to understand that when we wanted to simplify the things, why cannot we have a single law? Let every state adopt that law and implement. When I come to some issues, you will realize that if state differs, it can again have another complications and no simplifications. If one would like to practice all over India, today whatever is difficult, maybe the same way it will be difficult in time to come. We have been saying that simplicity will come, but only the time will say whether we have achieved that object or not. Well, Center continues levying excise on petroleum products, tobacco and tobacco products. Mindwell has heard, now not on all products, but Center continues to levy. They have the power even after implementation of GST. Same way, the state continues levying the sales tax on petroleum products and alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Right? So petroleum product is common. Whatever levies today are leviable on that can be continued even in GST. And a consensus has been made that petroleum products will be liable to GST from the date to be notified by the GST Council. Okay, so far so good. I see that what is the taxable event for all these levies, and then we have excise levied on manufacture or removal of goods. Then we have service tax levied on rendering of services or receipt of consideration. If advance received, taxable for service tax. Sales tax or purchase tax levied on sale or purchase of goods at the event of sale or purchase. And entry tax or luxury tax levied on providing entertainment or luxuries. Now, all these levies will now be levied in GST as levied on supply of goods and or services based on place and point of supply. That means we are now totally going for a single taxable event rather than different taxable events. So this simplicity will come, but what issues it will throw out, let us see. We have adopted dual GST model. So states' autonomy is maintained. GST to be levied and collected by state as SGST. GST levied and collected by central as CGST. And both taxes to be levied on local supply of goods and or services, that is intrastate transactions. So both these taxes will be levied in a single invoice. Let me just give an example at this moment. When I raise my invoice for professional fees rendered to my client, in my invoice today what I am levying as service tax 15%. I will be now levying after this GST as say if 20% comes, 10 and 10, or maybe 11 and 9, or say 10 and 10. Then in my invoice of say 1 lakh rupees fees, I will be charging SGST, say Maharashtra GST, because I am rendering the services from Maharashtra location, and my client is also in Maharashtra, and I will have to show SGST 10% on 1 lakh 10,000. And I'll also charge CGST in my invoice as 10% on 1 lakh 10,000. So my total will be 1 lakh plus 10 plus 10, 1 lakh 20,000. IGST, let me not say anything because my co-speakers will be speaking on that. So it was there in slide, but I am not to speak on that. So my invoice will be showing like this: CGST, SGST, based on the same price. So their cascading effect is now removed. But when I read the term mentioned by me in red, excluding GST, so if there are certain other taxes other than GST, then cascading effect is yet there even in GST. So the levies which are continued, other than that which we discussed just earlier, even there will be a continuation of levy of customs duty, direct taxes, security transaction tax on the transactions of securities, excise on petroleum product and tobacco. Same way the state powers continue, and they will continue levy of profession tax, stamp duty on the agreements and documents executed, and property taxes, and again tax on petroleum products and alcoholic liquor and electricity duty. So all this will continue in addition to GST. So if suppose GST is to be levied on a price which is excluding only GST, then if this is levied earlier, then on that also there will be a levy of SGST and CGST. To that extent, cascading effect continues. Levy and collection of SGST and IGST. Now my topic really starts from here. I am to explain you the backbone or the heart of the GST law, the supply. Just right now, forget all other provisions which are to come, and mind well, we are discussing the draft law. Final law will come, many changes will be there, again some such gathering will be there, a discussion will be there, and after the draft law studied by many members and the associations, representations have been made on many aspects, and that will be now implemented in a final law which will come maybe as a proposed, again put up in public domain or not, or coming finally implemented or so, may come in December or so. But it is good that we are studying the draft law. So whatever amendments or whatever the real final law comes, please make a change or understanding accordingly. So I am to talk on the incidence of tax in GST. So the levy and collection of SGST section 7 or IGST section 4, CGST and SGST shall be levied, so compulsory, shall be levied on all intra-state supplies. local supplies in a state, supply within the state of goods and or services. So now, as earlier said by Joshi sir, earlier the tax was there on sale or purchase. Now we say tax on goods itself and or services. So my transaction can be only goods, covered, only services, covered, composite supply, covered. At the rate specified in the schedule, so we will have a schedule to this GST law, every state GST law, and the taxes will be levied at those rates, maybe 3, 4, 5 rates, and collected in such manner as prescribed. So this is the power incidence of GST. Well, the question arises, on what turnover or value not mentioned in incidence of tax provision? Well, is it necessary? One school of thought says, yes, it is necessary, that on what you will levy, you have not mentioned. And other school says, when we say if turnover term is mentioned in this particular incidence of tax provision, then turnover can be of a sale or some receipt. So maybe that consciously the lawmakers have drafted in such manner not to be controversial. So no turnover, no reference to even value, because if only turnover is there or along with turnover a value is there, I do not know, some problem may arise. But it seems that as the valuation powers are there, I supply these goods in GST and valuation powers are there, so the tax levy will be there on valuation of this supply, may not be on sale consideration. So that means maybe turnover term has been avoided, but we'll let the final draft law come and we will see how it has been then implemented. So now we have to focus and concentrate on 3 terms: goods, services and supply. So supply of goods and services. So let us refer the definition in the draft law 248, 288 and section 3. Now here the goods very interestingly defined. Goods means every kind of movable property, which is today also, other than actionable claim and money. But it includes, so exclusion is there of actionable claims from goods and money excluded, not goods. But it includes securities, growing crops, grass, things attached to forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under the contract of supply. Presently also the same, no problem, no controversy. Include securities added, the term which I put up in red. That means the power is taken under the GST to levy tax on even securities. Now securities, shares, securities and all. Let us see what can happen. Explanation is also there to this definition. It says, for the purpose of this clause, the term movable property shall not include intangible property. So now intangible property, what we know as trademark, patents, copyrights and so on, all these are goods as on today. The goods can be tangible goods, intangible goods, but this intangible goods, this intangible properties are taken out of the definition of term goods in GST law. Whether it will be not taxable, let us see. Securities means what? Can the securities be taxed? Should it be taxed? Is it the purpose of the law? Mind well, indirect tax is a tax on a consumer. It's a one type of expenditure tax, a consumption tax.